Texas Climate Jobs Project is one of the most dynamic and forward-thinking projects in the labor movement. It's a project that seeks to address the challenges of climate change while creating good union jobs.
I tell people that we measure our success at Texas Climate Jobs Project in two ways. We measure our success by how we address climate change and how many union jobs we create.
Texas Climate Jobs is special in the way that it's been brought together, the way that it's been formed, and the way that it is working with industry partners across the state of Texas. And it's giving opportunities to so many workers across the state that typically wouldn't have that.
We have been a partner with Texas Climate Jobs in local campaigns here to support the green energy economy and make sure that those become good union jobs.
What we're talking about is building an economy and building an energy industry that works for all working people.
It's been 5 years of navigating the interests of labor unions, the needs and interests of climate groups and environmental groups, and trying to stitch together this coalition of people that want to see Texas lead the clean energy transition globally, but in a way that doesn't leave workers behind.
My background before becoming a business rep is coming out of a coal-fired power plant as a mechanic in the power plant. And everything was being pushed towards the new Green Deal. And I had to stand up and fight for my members that were working in that plant beside me.
Donnie represent folks who create power and have been doing so for decades. And the way I feel about it is, if Donnie cannot get behind a program like we're running here, then the program doesn't have a chance of succeeding.
And so we made a decision very early on that there is no way forward in this clean energy transition without making sure that fossil fuel workers and clean energy workers sit at the same table together with climate groups and say, how do we move this forward in Texas in a way that benefits working people and communities?
When the Texas Climate Jobs Project was formed, it really gave us an opportunity to have a deeper conversation with many of our unions about the fact that the clean energy transition is here.
Nobody in our industry thought that the energy jobs were going to take off. Everybody was like, oh, that's just something you guys talk about, you know, it's just something for like 10 years from now. Even I was like, oh, that's maybe 10 years from now. And it turned out I was wrong. Everybody was like, well, when is this supposed to start? And I'm like, well, they want us to start tomorrow. You know, they want us to do everything now.
But the fact that the Texas Climate Jobs Project emerged to say, clean energy transition is here, and it's vital that we bring unions into that sector to turn what are often crappy jobs into good jobs, created an opportunity for our federation then to work with Texas Climate Jobs and for many of our unions to recognize that is the way in which we can engage with the energy transition in a way that puts workers at the center rather than being left behind.
In Texas, we know that there's a huge need for this clean energy transition into renewable energy, and we want to see that our model of workforce development training is a model that gets replicated not just here in Texas, but across the U.S.
So Texas Construction Career Pathways is a 3-week pre-apprenticeship program that is housed under Texas Climate Jobs Project. It's our workforce development initiative to build up the workforce for the skilled trades.
Our MC3 program focuses on green construction as a way of thinking about industries that are going to be coming online that are already here but don't have enough workers to fill those workforce gaps.
We have piloted this program in 2024, so about 2 years ago, in the city of Houston, where we had 2 cohorts, and then we bridged out to Austin as well as the DFW area. We interact with people from all walks of life and provide them with just hope and also real opportunity. Being able to assist people in facilitating changes in their life that they did not think were possible has been really impactful.
It makes the wins that much bigger, because when we have, a huge win with a graduation and people being placed that same day, That's telling me like this is why things have to exist like this.
And with this program that Texas Climate Jobs has with the MC3 program, this program definitely helps us find A1 people that we can send out and be proud of.
I've been here at Texas Climate Jobs Project for 3.5 years. And throughout that time, I have traveled from border to border, literally going to non-union utility scale solar sites. And when I've been going to these sites, I've heard so many different stories from so many different people. And we gather this information and our researchers compile this data to paint a picture of what it is like to be a non-union clean energy worker in this state.
So for non-union solar construction, 1 in 4 workers were experiencing an injury on the job. 1 in 2 workers was experiencing heat-related illness. We also saw, severe disparities between wages and benefits.
As far as what I see, the conditions in a lot of these renewable energy sites here in Texas aren't great for workers, especially with non-union labor. And I think that's why union labor is so important, is that you have an advocate to actually push and to make sure that workers' needs are met and they're safe and healthy while they're producing all of these things that are so critical for our energy infrastructure.
As soon as I met Bo Delp and his team with the Texas Climate Jobs, it became very apparent that we needed to go back and make sure that we fund our affiliation with the Texas Climate Jobs to be in the forefront of these the transition and these new energy. There was a lot of talk back then around hydrogen hubs and all sequestration in our area, directly affecting a lot of the members we already represented, and we wanted to be in the forefront of that. And his team and the product of us collectively working with the affiliates, it's been great. It's been a great experience for us.
It's been a good bridge. That's been really missing in a lot of the discussions around fossil fuels and renewable energy. Historically, you had the environmentalist movement saying we just need to shut everything down, and then on the other side it was a reaction to that and a fear of like, what does this mean for if I have a good career in this sector, And we've needed something to really bridge that gap and help both sides understand where they're coming from and get everybody aligned on the same page, and it's been immensely helpful on that front.
If we didn't have workers in the field installing these solar panels or installing these wind turbines or retrofitting buildings or operating geothermal power plants, there would be no clean energy transition. It is totally dependent on workers. And so we have to bring everybody along in this transition.
I think there are a lot of people that were betting that Texas Climate Jobs wouldn't be here after the Trump transition and the attack on clean energy. And the fact is, it's still here. It's continuing to move forward. It's continuing to make progress. And I'm just glad that we here at the Gulf Coast AFL-CIO have been able to work in partnership with Texas Climate Jobs.
I absolutely think that the reality is electricity demand keeps going up. We haven't been building any new generation of the traditional means either. It's going to come to a head. We're going to have more generation. Realistically, we need an all of the above approach, and we need to be looking at long-term, sustainable, renewable energy.
Well, a clean transition means that the state continues to lead in all forms of renewable energy. Solar and wind are what come to mind for a lot of people, but it's not just that. We have to think about types of energy that can be deployed at a moment's notice. So we think about geothermal, we think about clean hydrogen, we think about battery storage. We think about making buildings more energy efficient.
Texas Climate Jobs has been very supportive of us in the United Association. Keep in mind, as I mentioned before, we've got this huge percentage of our work that is tied to fossil fuels. But as we transition, we want to capture these piping jobs in these newer energy technologies. So they have very much kept us at the table and kept us engaged in those aspects.
Geothermal entails not only the drilling, but you have the piping. Geothermal is capable of spinning a turbine Those create operator jobs that if we're losing the coal or the natural gas somewhere else, geothermal has those operation jobs because you're operating and running a turbine and a generator to make that electricity.
Texas Climate Jobs Project has had projects all over the state of Texas. One of the ones was the Granada Homes in San Antonio, Texas. That one is unique. That one was special because we were able to take the San Antonio Housing Building Trades Trust to partner with Texas Climate Jobs Project, to partner with our union contractors in San Antonio, to take this elderly affordable housing unit that's on the Riverwalk in downtown San Antonio and rehab the entire structure, making sure that everything was brought up to date. The AFL-CIO Housing Investment Trust, the Bank of Labor. This is just one of the examples of how Texas Climate Jobs Project was able to bring so many people together. And then we were able to do a 100% union project in the middle of downtown San Antonio. Doesn't happen very often in Texas, and to be able to be part of that and see that happen was very special.
I tell people that we measure our success at Texas Climate Jobs Project in two ways. We measure our success by how we address climate change and how many union jobs we create. If we have accomplished that in 5 years and can look back and say that we had a role to play in reducing carbon emissions and creating union jobs, we will have been very successful.
I'm proud to say that over the past 5 years, we've positively impacted thousands of jobs across the state of Texas.
Texas needs to lead, and they have an opportunity to do that now. And Texas Climate Jobs Project has been doing that for the last 5 years, and we're going to continue to do that moving forward.
So here's to many, many more years of Texas Climate Jobs being around and making progress for working people and the environment here in Texas.